Good morning and welcome again to the World Game and highlights of Tuesday's epic 2014 FIFA World Cup qualifier between Japan and Australia. The Socceroos went into the encounter under enormous pressure after a disappointing last outing against Oman in Sydney back in March. Japan, on the other hand, needed just a solitary point to secure qualification for Brazil. Well, let's relive all the action with your commentators in Saitama, Andy Harper and Simon Hill.
Japan and Australia standing shoulder to shoulder on the road to Rio. 3 games in 2 weeks with one huge goal for the Socceroos. The countdown to Brazil starts right here tonight in Saitama. And the numbers are not stacked in Australia's favour. 63,000 in the stands for a start at a venue where Japan have lost only once in 16 internationals and never in a competitive game. Japan are at full strength. Keisuke Honda was on light duties yesterday after arriving late following his exertions in the Russian Cup final. Shinji Okazaki too, but they both start. And the headline news for Australia, Tommy Orr's inclusion on the left and Mark Milligan into the centre of midfield. Alex Brosk and Miller Jedinak both ruled out with injury. Matt Mackay starts at left back despite the claims of Michael Thwaite. Lucas Neal and Sasha Ognanovski resume their partnership in the centre. Ognanovski, Wilkshire and Cahill all carrying yellows into the game. Another will see them ruled out against Jordan. So away we go in this wonderful theatre built for the 2002 World Cup. This is all about the 2014 World Cup, and Tommy Orr stealing possession early for the Socceroos. Japan scramble it away, and it really is, Andy Harper, the moment of truth, you could say, for tonight for Australia. The whole campaign condensed into a 3-game, 2-week shootout for Brazil. This is the toughest test of the lot.
And this is going to be one of the great sporting amphitheatres in the world. Electric atmosphere. Noise, you can't hear yourself think. Goodness knows how the players are going to communicate verbally out there. And the big early question, how quickly can Japan get into their rhythm, and how effective will Australia be at stopping that progress for Japan?
Well, here's one of the key men tonight, Keisuke Honda. Such a talented footballer, carrying a bit of a thigh problem into this game. Alberto Zaccaroni saying he may not last the full 90 minutes. He doesn't necessarily need a full 90 minutes to make an impact. Yuto Nagatomo stopped in his tracks by Luke Wilkshire. Nagatomo, another one of those carrying an injury to the game with that knee problem. This is Okazaki trying to get a metre on Sasha Ognanovski, and now there's some room here for Tommy Orr, who's seen plenty of the ball in these early stages. Tim Cahill foraging for possession, earns Australia a throw-in.
Well, we've had to wait about 2 minutes to see what we might expect to be the pattern of the game. Australia pressing, Japan looking to control possession high up the field, and then when Australia can pinch and launching a counter-attack. Japan's first 2 matches in this final stage of qualifying, Simon, with rained goals for the Samurai Blues, 6 against Jordan, 3 against Oman. The big test for Australia is to make sure they use their experience and don't be as naive as Jordan and Oman were here. Early mistakes opened up. Japan ripped them to pieces. They certainly have that capacity, but it's a different proposition for Japan here tonight. Such a wonderful team, and what a rivalry that has developed between these two.
There's Ryuichi Maeda. 1 or 2 questions about his inclusion, not in the greatest of form at club level for Jubilo Iwata, who are joint bottom of the Japanese J-League. Tim Cahill caught offside. How important are the 2 wide men for Australia tonight going to be, Andy? Robbie Cruz and Tommy Orr.
Well, enormously. Not only defensively, Simon, because so much of Japan's attack, as we see now, is built around overlaps on either flank. But they're the real weapon for Australia in counter-attack. So it's a dual role for both Cruz and Orr. And Tommy Orr, so inexperienced at this level, but has been involved early with a couple of forceful runs and passes. It's great for him to cut his teeth early in this this magnificent stadium in Saitama.
Breaks for Honda. It was closed down quickly by Lucas Neal. Honda again. Just try and find those little pockets of space in between the lines for the Australians. And his probe draws the foul on Shinji Okazaki by Sasha Ogdanovsky. Goes for goal, and it's just flashed wide of Schwartz's right-hand post. I think the goalkeeper had it covered, in fairness.
Yeah, I agree with you. He had a good look at that, Schwarzer. He did scramble, and for those looking on, it might have been a little bit nervous, supporters of the Socceroos, but I reckon he read it early, had a good side of it. Nervous moment, nevertheless, for the visitors. The emperor of the Blue Samurai, Yasuhito Endo. Super player. The architect of so much of what Japan have done in recent times.
Lucas Neal going long. Whilst you're watching that replay, and Australia have retained possession of the ball through Robbie Cruz, but only momentarily. Nagatomo up towards halfway.
Now that's brilliant defending from Lucas Neal. He started the game really well. Talk about a skipper under pressure, Simon. But he's working to get the front position. He's done that on the last 2 or 3 forays forward by Japan. Intercepted well.
Good dummy by Holman. Bresciano and for Tommy Orr. Orr's overran it. Well, Tommy Orr's been playing the attacking midfield role for FC Utrecht in the Netherlands. Has to do a job out wide tonight for Holger Ossik's men.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of a readjustment, but it's enormous for his confidence to be playing so regularly in the top Dutch league, and now to get the nod to start this match. It's a crucial match for Australia.
Too many in the starting 11 over 30, but he's one of those. As is Sasha Ogdanovsky with a rather aimless floated ball through. It's all been about Australia being a long ball side in the build-up this week in the media hubs.
Well, that last effort from Sasha Ogdanovsky vindicates that commentary, but that's not really the way Australia have looked to start. Holger Osik unhappy with that decision by Ogdanovsky.
Now danger here for Australia. An important interception that by Matt Mackay. Otherwise, Shinji Okazaki might have been clean through on Mark Schwarzer. Australia do go long, and Holman to drive it on the half volley from a long way out.
Yeah, well, he scored some spectacular ones, including in the World Cup finals. Very similar range against Serbia, but he had a brilliant option wide in Robbie Cruz. And don't mistake that for long ball. That was a good forward pass to Tim Cahill, who remains as close to unbeatable in the air as you've got.
Uchida. Now Kagawa. Hasabe is just down on the turf for the moment. He's up now. Honda. Here is Hasabe. One of the many who play in the German Bundesliga. It's almost become a second home for a lot of Japanese players. Now Uchida in behind Tommy Orr and across the face. And Lucas Neal was there to sweep behind.
Yeah, good coverage, Lucas Neal. Excellent from the skipper.
Those intricate little triangles that they weave, and there's a free header at the near post here. Now there could be a counter on for Australia through Brett Holman. Tommy Orr in acres of space here on the left. 2 up to aim for, but he's put it way over the head of Brett Holman, who's not best pleased with that delivery from Tommy Orr.
Yeah, it's not a great end product from Tommy Orr. His last 2 possessions haven't been brilliant. There's a clash of bodies. Yoshida rising, heading downwards, and thankfully for the Socceroos, they escape. And the counter-attack was on again.
Bit of a nothing ball that by Neal. Okazaki was quick to chase it. Now the ball's with Honda. Nagatomo pushing forwards. Inside it comes instead. Chance perhaps for Endo to unleash. It's Yasuhito Endo. Well, his left foot not perhaps the more favoured of the two, but it wasn't too far away from the right-hand upright.
He made the space beautifully, always rising the shot. Again, Schwarzer had to scramble. And the attack set up. Poor pass out of midfield again from Australia. And then Matt Mackay slower to react.
Oh, that was mighty close. Beautiful angle behind the goal.
Never in doubt, Simon. Yeah, so there's 2 or 3 occasions where Australia has really been stretched. One of the problems has been just a little bit of a lack of anticipation. And just a little bit quicker to the breakdown or to a contested pass.
Clever ball by Cruz. Now Cahill and Holman. Just pulled it wide of the right-hand upright. Good chance, though, for Australia.
Brilliant chance. Good signs, Brett Holman. Had a really disappointing time of it in the English Premier League with Aston Villa. He's had 2 efforts on goal already. And this is where he, in these broken field situations, is such a danger for Japan. And again, just a little warning shot across the bow of the home team.
Kagawa. Hasebe. Nagatomo. Back for Hasebe to try and curl it in, and well read by Ogninovski. Honda wins it back for Japan. Danger again for Australia here. Oh, great save by Schwarzer. Danger still not averted. It is now courtesy of Matt Mackay, but a brilliant one-handed stop from Mark Schwarzer to deny the Blue Samurai.
Well, free kick to Australia just on halfway. The challenge on Timmy Cahill, but they've escaped care of the great man Mark Schwarzer. 40 years young and reflexes like a cat still. And well scrambled thereafter. And the problem in the centre of midfield on that passage of play, Mark Bresciano just being exposed, the lack of speed, not being able to close down and then turn and follow the runner. Honda is dangerous enough in concert with Shinji Kagawa.
Well, Kagawa didn't catch it cleanly, but it was still a fine save by Schwarzer. Now Cruz. Bresciano for the knockdown. There's plenty of power behind that.
Bodies being thrown at either end of the field. What a brilliant opening 20 minutes.
Developing into a really good contest. Back heel by Cruz. Read by Conno.
You've got a great piece of that. Brilliant defending. Uchida. That would have forced Kawashima into some sort of action in the Japan goal.
Bresciano now thankfully recovered from that knee injury sustained against Oman. Now Lucas Neal out of position and Honda on the charge. Okazaki out wide. Honda just bides his time. And the shot from Kagawa is deflected behind for a corner.
Well, again, brilliant scrambling from the Socceroos.
Ryoichi Maeda with the final efforts, which has produced another corner. Yasuhito Endo to deliver. Deep this time towards the back post. Volleyed wide by Okazaki. This is Uchida, the fullback from Schalke. Okazaki. Uchida swings the ball in. It's a tough one for Schwarzer. In the end, one hand was enough. Milligan. Holman back for Bresciano.
Much better composure from the Socceroos. He's taking the sting out of the atmosphere. That's not going to help. From Milligan.
can't win it back. Instead it's with Endo. Now Honda. Chance to run at the Australian defence. Outside of the boot for Nagatomo. Here's Honda. Just about to pull the trigger when Sasha Ognanovski got in his way. And Australia can look to counter once again. This is Holman. A little bit slow in transition.
Well, what about this for a contest, though, Simon? And Honda showing he's not just a clever player, but he's a very athletic player. Burst through that channel.
That's skewed off the boot of Wilkshire. Now he's got to track back out of position. Laid off by Maeda. Nagatomo. Yasuhito Endo. Nagatomo leaving it for Shinji Kagawa. Again, the intricate play in and around the penalty area, which is such a threat. A very clever drop of the shoulder too by Brett Holman. Take him out of harm's way. Now it's with Cruz. Milligan. Mackay. Patient build-up this time by Australia. Neil. Captaining his country for the 45th time tonight. Miscue again by Wilkshire. Gets away with it this time. Gets the better of his man and swings across in towards Cahill. Out it comes for Tommy Orr, who tried to steer it in with his right foot.
A free kick against Timmy Cahill. And Luke Wilshere made something nearly from nothing. A judge to have climbed over Yoshida was Cahill. On Tommy Orr's right foot, which is not his preferred one.
They have caused a few moments of anxiety in the Japanese defence, though.
No question, they're acquitting themselves really well, which was their brief coming into the game.
Here comes Japan, though. Here's the chance for Maeda, and it's blocked off expertly again by Sasha Ognanovski.
And this is the pattern of the game, the transition pass to Cruz or Holman. Can one find the other?
Holman, as you can see, back in the park, great ball. Here's Robbie Cruz, one-on-one with Kawashima. Excellent save, it breaks for Cahill, and Cahill fires over the top of the crossbar. What a chance for Australia. Robbie Cruz feels he should get a decision from the referee, but credit to Eiji Kawashima, who was the villain against Bulgaria in the friendly during the week. But what a stop he pulled off here.
Now, this is brilliant stuff from Holman and Cruz, and what about that from the keeper? I mean, Schwartz has denied Japan at one end, and now Kawashima has done the same. Excellent goalkeeping, great attack by Australia.
There's the Australian fans, 1,100 of them in total. Imagine they'd be relatively pleased with what they've seen so far. Not necessarily that ball from Luke Wilkshire. Free gift of possession. And this is Honda. Uchida. Cross behind the two Japanese attackers. Bresciano. Rare mistake from him tonight.
So those moments there, Simon, looks to me like Australia perhaps rattled, but a little bit confused as to what they need to do. Bresciano, I think, is looking for Robbie Cruz there to drop his shoulder and go long, get him behind the defender. Robbie Cruz wants to hold and get the ball played to feet. And once they get that sorted, that'll certainly assist Australia's cause. Mark Milligan's looked to hit a couple of those over the shoulder, and Cruz hasn't responded.
Now Bresciano. Cruz trying to break the line. He was offside though, and he knew it. Holman wasn't close enough to the ball.
In the end, it just needed a bit more meat on it, didn't it? That pass from Bresciano. Holman would have been away. Well covered by Maya Yoshida. He's had to earn his money here this evening. The central defender for Japan.
Clever by Okazaki through the legs of Tommy Orr. Endo. Now Maeda getting the better of Mar Bresciano. Hasabe playing it short for Endo. On Honda out-muscled by Ognanovski, and this is where Australia can pose a threat. Transition not quite quick enough on that occasion. Japan quickly back in possession. Kagawa. Nagatomo pushing forward on the left. Kagawa drifts inside instead. The attempted 1-2 with Honda. Green and gold wall in front of them. For the most part, Australia have been able to block off those central routes, keep the two fullbacks from getting in behind too often. Which is what Bulgaria did particularly well. Their friendly victory in Nagoya during the week. Too far for Cruz.
That one was slightly telegraphed, but that's where Australia want to play Robbie Cruz. He hasn't been able really to figure down that right-hand side. He's been way more dangerous angling his run coming through the centre. We approach half-time, Simon. It's been a typically dominant Japan and a very, very strong and resolute and brave Australia. And the game plan has worked pretty much as expected. They must now make sure that they just don't concede before half-time, the visitors.
Here's Honda. Okazaki on target. Straight down the throat of Schwarzer. Australians have worked an awful lot, we're led to believe, Andy, on structure this week. It's paid off so far.
Yeah, I think it's been excellent. They're letting themselves down while getting tested with a poor pass in transition. Once or twice a lack of anticipation, and then another couple of occasions just individuals too slow to keep up with the Japanese opponent immediately. But outside of that, it's been a very diligent, well-organised Socceroos team and looked quite potent on the counter-attack.
Kale showing too much of that to Endo, but he's snaffled the ball back.
Definitely need more of Bresciano controlling possession in the second half. That's what they've got to try and sort out at half-time. Just to relieve the pressure on themselves. The momentum going back their way, and the key to that is Bresciano. We've seen how effective he can be. On the 4 or 5 occasions he's done that in this half. It's just not been enough, really, to tip the scales far enough Australia's way.
There's no stoppage time at all at the end of the first period. It has been as pulsating as we expected it would be. At the break then in Saitama, it's goalless. It's Japan 0, Australia 0. Welcome back to Saitama for the second half. The big question is, will a pleasing first half performance by the Socceroos eventuate into a satisfactory result or better? Andy Harper.
Well, the question is, how long can they last? How long can they keep up the intensity? I think you're pretty comfortable in believing Japan are going to continue in the same vein. And Australia were fabulous in that first half in very difficult circumstances. They've got to find the same mentality and the same reserves, and that's got to run out the entire 45 minutes of this second half.
Early chance here perhaps for Japan. Shinji Kagawa just trying to get clear of a couple of defenders. Both teams appeal for the decision. Goal kick is the verdict of Nawaf Shakrala. He's such a slippery player.
He's just a fabulous player. And their turning circle is next to nothing. Their awareness of the available space is very acute, both he and Honda and Endo. Just 1 or 2 times in that first half Australia didn't anticipate as they might, and that was another example of that.
Kagawa shows Wilkshire a clean pair of heels, almost gets it through to Honda, and there's Neil again. You'd never know, he'd only played 3 games of football in 2013, Lucas Neil.
This is the moment we're looking for. A little drop of the shoulder from Robbie Cruz, and then get the pass outside the defender. It didn't quite work on that occasion from Luke Wilkshire, but mean that Australia stopped trying to execute that particular attack.
Japan looking increasingly towards this man on the ball, Shinji Kagawa. Inside is Honda. Again, they try and just thread it through the eye of a needle for Nagatomo, who is racing through. Now he's out of position. Can Australia make profit from that? Holman, good switch for Tommy Orr. Matt Mackay trying to push forward and lend a hand in support. There's an old-fashioned shoulder barge there between Orr and Uchida.
Well,
referee didn't like it.
From our vantage point, I'm not sure. I thought it was a foul in the back. I thought he might have given a throw-in for Japan, which would have been a mistake, but it is indeed a free kick. And I can't disagree with the referee's decision on that occasion. But a good contest between Uchida and Tommy Orr.
Quickly back underway, and it's with Wiltshire. Neil. Holman didn't really look as to where Bresciano was, and snaffle by Endo. Maeda to Shinji Kagawa. Always danger when he's on the ball, gets the byline and clips it across. Might drop for Honda, and he's put it wide.
I think it's a free kick. Kagawa, the turn of speed. It's blistering. Somehow he rounded that ball up and dinked in a beautiful little cross. Look at him go. Just squares up Luke Wiltshire, somehow rounds it up, and that's the foul on Ognenovski. It's a great call from the ref. He's not missed anything so far tonight. Schwarzer getting a very important fingertip, but the damage done by Maeda anyway.
Well, you'd venture to suggest there might be a few more of those moments before we're done tonight. So far, Australia have had the answers. Rosick at the edge of his technical zone, just scratching his brow. Asabe. Uchida. Honda. Looking to take on Matt Mackay, and then leaves it for Kagawa, who punches it towards goal.
Very comfortable though for Schwarzer, but the two of them, Kagawa and Honda again. We've seen two players on the same wavelength. These two are red. It's the finishing touches missing for Japan at the moment. Not enough accuracy in their shooting. They're finding the target fair enough, but they're finding Mark Schwarzer as well. A good period for Japan.
This man at the central at Kagawa. That's well stolen though by Mark Milligan. He looks up and there's not too much ahead of him. Cruz trying to get in on the blind side of Kono, which wasn't a bad idea from Holman.
No, it's just too hard from Brett Holman, too heavy on the touch. Cruz had drifted beautifully into the advanced position, and the steal from Milligan, that's been a high point of his game. Great contribution from Milligan defensively.
As you can hear, the Japanese fans doing their bit. They barely stopped all night. Endo with the floated ball, and Nagatomo's in behind. And that's a really good challenge from Luke Wiltshire. Perfectly timed, because he was in danger, of course, of potentially giving away a penalty as well.
Well, he needed to really get on his bike there. Beautiful pass over the top. Inch perfect. Great take from Nagatomo as well. And wonderful from Luke Wiltshire. He's been pretty quiet, Yuto Nagatomo, tonight. And that was a moment for him to shine, but Luke Wiltshire was having none of it.
Japan just starting to turn the screw. Kagawa. Beautiful skill. And again, he and Honda combined. It's Kagawa. No foul by Ognenovski. Took the ball cleanly. But boy, he's a threat.
The two of them are leading Australia on the merry dance at the moment. I think the appeal from Japan was handball on Ognenovski. Look at the two of them go. It's touch and go. Instinctively, they turn and pass. Ognenovski flies in, no foul, clear win. Again, the referee right on the business. But you're right, Simon. Australia can't get the outlet pass. Maybe this is a function either of them being tired psychologically after that huge first half effort, and maybe physically as well. But there's not the same spring in counter-attack at the moment.
Well, we're approaching the hour mark, and these are crucial minutes for Australia to keep their focus, to keep Japan at bay. It's a blue tide at the moment. Here's Honda. Jinx clear of Milligan. Endo. Kagawa again. Kagawa with a chip. Oh, and it just grazes the crossbar. Shinji Kagawa with a delightful piece of opportunism. And the two of them are virtually playing Australia on their own.
It is two virtuoso performances. And the mantra from Japan, if you're Yasuhito Endo or any player, just get the ball to one of those guys. They'll soon find their partner in crime.
Crowd just taking a breather. Now they're back in the game. And Japan have a throw-in. Vidicic snapping away at his heels, eager to get involved. Endo. Kagawa. Looks towards the back post and Okazaki, but it's too deep. Well, even Kagawa's had a bit of a lull last 10 minutes.
It's the first blemish, really. I mean, you're seeing Manchester United quality on show in Shinji Kagawa, and that was the first non-Manchester United type offering he's provided. He's been great tonight.
We just caught a glimpse there of Hiroshi Kiyotake, who's another one of these young prodigies, which Japan are producing plenty at the moment. There was some suggestion he might start tonight. Playing for Nuremberg. Unfortunately for him, the man who plays in his position is Shinji Kagawa. So perhaps no wonder he's not going to look in right from the start, but he may be useful off the bench. May see him at some stage as we move towards the final quarter of an hour here in Saitama. What has been a very professional so far, very disciplined performance by the Australians.
Yeah, they've stood shoulder to shoulder, the green and gold. They really have amassed their troops, and they've worked so diligently. Zaccaroni frustrated. Mind has had really very little to contribute so far. Okazaki's been a constant danger, such a sharp player, but it's the Kagawa and Honda show. They've been outstanding.
Mackay trying to find a way through and succeeded to Bresciano. Now the switch is on and there's a bit of room here for Luke Wiltshire. 3 in the box to aim for. Here's a chance for Kale, and it's charged down by Maya Yoshida. And now Japan on the counter-attack through Keisuke Honda at the other end. Rides the challenge of Milligan. Australia desperately trying to get the ball back. Still with Honda. Now Kagawa, and Wiltshire steals it on the blind side.
Brilliant recovery. And 100% for Mark Milligan. The opportunity for Japan was squeezed by Matt Mackay, who's been outstanding at left fullback. And Milligan retreated. This is a great chance. Luke Wiltshire, very rare territory for him. Timmy Kale thwarted again. You're talking about players having a great game. What about Maya Yoshida? He's been unbeatable so far this evening for Japan. But Milligan and Mackay in tandem dealt with that counter-attack beautifully.
Held up by Mackay. Should have having a race to keep it in play. Endo under pressure. Now Hasebe. Chance opens up for him. And the shot's always fading wide.
Oh, pressured well by Ognjanowski, who's dragged back to his feet by Bresciano and Lucas Nil. They appreciate the effort.
He will work in tandem with Shinji Kagawa. Kagawa is working with Nagatomo at the moment. Here's Nagatomo, and Schwarzer drops to his left to make the smother.
Brilliant, Mark Schwarzer. Had all the angles covered. Lucas Neal was beaten. He just couldn't get back. He couldn't recover the territory on Yuto Nagatomo. Australia survive again.
Well, I've had a few scares tonight, Australia, but in the main, Schwartz has been equal to them. Just beaten the once when that shot from Shinji Kagawa dropped onto the top of the crossbar.
There's Kagawa releasing Nagatomo. Lucas Neal doing everything he can to get back. It wasn't enough. He needed Mark Schwarzer to block the shot. And he never looked in danger. Schwarzer, he's been faultless tonight. And crucially, on one telling occasion, outstanding. The frustration continues for Zaccaroni.
Schwarzer and Australia made it into the final 10 minutes with their goal still intact. Just occasionally posing a threat at the other end too. This is Bresciano. Tommy Orr. Right, one challenge and a second. And he's passed a third too. Clipped to it now. It's stripped it in. It's got in the back of the net. Straight off Tommy Orr. Australia are in front. Amazing. I think it was intended as a cross from Tommy Orr. It has drifted into the back of the net. Japan are stunned. Australia lead in Saitama.
Well, I think Australia, or Japan rather, were calling for a foul. Somehow it's ended up in the back of the net. And Tommy Orr pinning his ears back, forcing the issue, hitting the cross to the back post. It was a lottery from there. It swung in Australia's favour. It's taken a deflection. Eiji Kawashima swatting at flies, and Australia have got the lead. Amazing at Saitama. They've been stretched to breaking point, the Socceroos, and somehow they've survived and emerged. Havenar stretched, ready to come on, 6'7" of him. Kawashima punched one in against Bulgaria just a matter of days ago. The penalty claim for Dario Vidosic, that's what Australia were hoping for. As Zaccaroni cannot believe what he's just seen.
Now Cruz into the penalty box. Tommy Orr to drill it. Well, perhaps a second goal too much to ask for. It wasn't a bad try, nor a bad opportunity. So Mike Havenar on to certainly lend some height to the Japanese attack. He is a lanky customer. He's Dutch origin, Havenar, and there might be another change on the way shortly as well. Kiyotake, who we spoke about earlier, is poised to be Alberto Zaccaroni's third and final change. That's a risky ball from Robbie Cruz. In fact, it's worse than that. It's given possession away cheaply. Endo trying to thread it through. Havenar lets it run. And he and his teammates not quite on the same wavelength, Andy.
No, not at all.
He and Japan have got less than 5 minutes to try and prevent what for them would be something they really wouldn't have forecasted, Andy, and that means if it stays like this, it will go to the final game for Japan. They will have to go to Doha and get something against Iraq. And that's a venue they don't have particularly happy memories of after failing to qualify back in '93 against the same opposition. Bresciano's picked up a yellow card for the challenge on Honda. Still a bit more work to do for Australia. They are on the cusp of a famous success. All eyes on Keisuke Honda. Oh, even his magic touch has deserted him.
He's lost his range. Australia have stared down the challenge. And once again, they drive that psychological wedge between themselves and Japan.
under 2 minutes of normal time remaining. Tim Cahill, who's in a selfless shift, really, playing the lone furrow up front. Japan now desperate to restore parity. They've had a few chances, but Schwarzer has been monumental again in goal for Australia. This is Keisuke Honda looking for the angle. It takes a deflection. That'll be a corner.
Well, he's been their great hope. Keisuke Honda.
We're into the final minute of normal time. Tommy Orr with his first international goal. That's what divides the two teams at the moment. Honda comes in low, appeals for handball there. Oh, penalty! Nawaf Shukrala spotted it immediately. A yellow card for Matt Mackay. More importantly, a penalty for Japan. And I have to say, at first glance, it looked like the right decision ending.
Yeah, that's my first reaction. I don't think Australia's had a better player tonight than Matt Mackay. It's been Herculean. But on first viewing, at live speed, I have to agree with the referee. Honda the deliverer. Plenty of time for Matt Mackay to react. Handball.
Yep.
The
No
referee,
question.
in fairness to him, has not missed a thing all night. And as we enter stoppage time, of which there will be 3 minutes, it's the cult hero of Japanese football, Keisuke Honda of CSKA Moscow, to put Japan into the World Cup finals in Brazil.
That's pretty much the size of it. And Schwarzer has saved penalties before. Can he pull off the heroics again for the green and gold? In stoppage time in Saitama. One kick for the World Cup for Keisuke Honda and for Japan. Cue delirium in Saitama. Japan are going to Brazil. Well, Mark Schwarzer shakes his head while mayhem goes on all around him. Holger Osik, I can tell you, in the meantime, is going apoplectic in the technical zone. Not much question about the penalty.
No.
Straight down the guts of the goal. Honda with the equaliser.
Well, it's taken an emphatic penalty to beat Mark Schwarzer tonight. Correctly given, emphatically taken. And on balance, the result that Japan would certainly deserve on the balance of play. It's relief for Zaccaroni. Australia disappointed, so close to 3 points. And now, Simon, they've got to hang on for the 1 point because Japan won't stop.
Tim Cahill's coughed up a free kick. And Saitama prepares to party, courtesy of Keisuke Honda. But Australia still have a job to do here.
Listen to this.
Well, it's wonderful. It's what football is all about at this level. And the game has not disappointed either. It's been terrific stuff. Now Australia have to keep their focus. Lucas Neal sticks out a leg. And it was a crucial intervention. Anyway, will do for Tommy Orr. That's not good enough, really, even at this late stage. Throw in for Japan. The 3 minutes of added time are almost up. Australia are going to make another change. Their second of the game, Robbie Cruz, who is pretty much spent, is going to be replaced for the final few moments by Archie Thompson. I'm sure that's a time-wasting measure as much as anything else.
Actually, it could have been a defender on to waste time. I think Holger Osik is hoping for one more counter-attack. That's how I read it.
Well, time is up by my watch. There might be a little bit more added on for the celebrations following Honda's penalty. And Japan are nearly there. In fact, they are there. In some ways, the perfect result for both teams. A point good enough to take Japan to a 5th straight World Cup. A point, a very useful outcome for Holger Osik, but it just could have been more if they could have hung on for the final few minutes. But Australia will look to finish off the job on home soil against Jordan and Iraq. Japan start their celebrations. Let's hope in a couple of weeks' time the Australians can start theirs.